This is the voice of freedom. We are not one voice. We are many. We are your voice. But we can only be effective if you use your voice. Your voice. This is the voice of freedom. We will not hide from the truth. We will ask the hard questions until we are sure we have the truth. Welcome to the voice of freedom, where your voice will never be silenced.
Well, good evening, folks. How's your Friday been? Been a fairly busy one floating around here today. I've done a bit of gardening, feeling very fit, very, well, sort of fit, sort of sore, actually, if I'm honest. Be more sore tomorrow. But I don't have much to do tomorrow except drive to Hervey Bay and Sunday, 11 a.m. in the park in Hervey Bay. Be having a bit of a chat. So we look forward to seeing you there if you're in that part of the world. It would be great to catch up. G'day, Paul. Nice to see you. AJ, hang on, folks. 2023 is going to be a shocker, and I'll probably call it a pandemic of some sort. Oh, yes. Yeah, well, we're looking for that trigger event, aren't we? So that's going to be interesting. We might wind up as the evening progresses. Now, as is the case with so many of us, we do have all sorts of hassles with getting connection from time to time. Mine happened a couple of nights ago. At the moment, it seems that Patriot 101 is having those issues. And Sean Ambrose is with him. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the new scotch that they planned on sampling, but I'm sure they'll get in and join us fairly soon. At any rate, that's the hope. I do have a Larrikin with me, though. And he has, well, an exceptionally attractive, and I should say, yes, a second Larrikin there. Hello, Neo. I see you're bribing him to stay in camera shot.
Yeah, I don't think you'll be here long.
I should ask, because we had a lot of people asking, has he recovered all right from his knee to the jaw?
Yes, he's fine. Oh, he's off. Yep, I didn't think I'd last one. Yeah, no, he's good. He's very good. As I said, it was only a little over dramatization, really.
Yes.
He wasn't really hurt, so he's fine. Yeah, he's a tough dog. He really is. He's
So-
had some skills, and he's picked himself up.
Yeah, he's a good boy too. I mean, nobody ever has to worry about him coming up and being aggressive. He's not an aggressive dog at all. He loves a pat more than anything, and the fact that he's still only very young, he hasn't quite learned yet that he shouldn't be jumping up like he does.
No. We're still working on that one, but we'll get there.
Got to ramp up the personal electrocution device just a little bit higher.
That's right.
A lot of interesting things happening around Sydney today and Canberra too, apparently. Lots of military planes flying around Sydney. This is not ordinarily something we would speak about with much sort of enthusiasm. But there was a Hercules doing circles, like literally wingtipping around Sydney City all day today, or for large portions of the day. I see the Aussie Cossack got video of it and is asking the question of the government, why are so many military aircraft, why are so many military ships floating around in the country? I'm just going to see whether or not I can share a screen here. Okay, let's see if we can see that. Right. Are you seeing this?
Yep.
Okay, so all those red dots are military ships. Okay?
Okay.
Just have a look at what's going on around there.
Yeah.
Okay? The United Kingdom, Denmark, Germany. There is a ton going on there, in and around there. And in and around Australia, there's a fair bit floating around here too. Now, it won't tell you what these ships are called, right? But every red dot, I can change this a bit, and I can.
Did you say these are US ones, or?
These are just military ships. So I've just changed there. I've added tankers in, okay? So you can see the world's shipping routes. But this is, and it'll click back, this is just military. So you can see that we have at least a little one up here near Fraser Island. So the folks in Harvey Bay. And now these could also be militarized police vessels. Okay. Some of these things could be police vessels.
Right.
But all of them are military or at least some form of police or emergency service thing as well. Now, when you zoom in, you see all sorts of interesting things. Now, so that's a rescue center there. If I click on that, what's that tell me? It says law enforcement VP10. So, yeah, take that for what you will. It's a very interesting shiplocation.com is the webpage if you want to go and check it out. Shiplocation.com. It's a great ship tracker. And, well, military ships, like military aircraft, don't identify themselves at all. They don't. They don't identify themselves. Even if one was to pull up beside you, it calls itself, Australian warship. It doesn't call itself, whatever its actual name is. So, they generally don't identify themselves on their electronic tag, other than all the red ones are military ships, or if not military, then police and emergency services. But yeah. So what's this, Tash? The Mosey family are recovering from a rush trip to Mildura and otherwise focused on the Victorian elections. Yes, well, the rush trip to Mildura has been extended. I can tell you right now, Ricardo is at my place in Frankston, having a huge night there at the moment with Darren Bergwerf. So he's in town, of course, for the Victorian election, which is proving to be a bit interesting. Oh, this hang on. Oh, this could be interesting. Hang on. We now get Sean Ambrose to join us live via the phone.
Glenn's having problems getting into Facebook.
But I don't use Facebook. I don't use Facebook.
StreamYard. It's telling me I can't use the StreamYard.
Oh.
And until it can identify the Facebook, and so I've just gone back and logged. And now it's telling me. It looks like you're logged in to Facebook as a different user. Please log into Facebook.com with the profile you're trying to reconnect. It's phishing.
Yeah. It's phishing. I actually had something similar happen to me the other day on Facebook. So yeah, I don't know what they're doing.
They're digging out profiles. They're digging out profiles.
Right. Well, should I let you keep digging, or have you given up on Facebook completely? Can't you just click on the email I sent you, and it doesn't need Facebook? It should just open a link.
Let me try that one, because last time I did that, it told me that doesn't connect to Chrome. I'm going because I'm in Chrome doing it, so it's playing games. Obviously,
it is.
Yeah, obviously they're playing around with our technology. We know that.
Well, you will go telling stories on them, so.
I will be a dibber-dobber.
You will be a dibber-dobber. That's exactly right. All right. Well, look, all we can do is hope you actually get it sorted.
Just gonna see what happens.
Yeah. See what happens.
Oh, that's a login code.
Oh.
Gotta love technology.
Gotta love technology. Hello to everybody who's listening in. Yes. What's Bosie just up the road from me right now? Frangan North, I'm trapped at. Yes, I'm sorry, KF. Although you're an hour ahead of us now. Yeah, he'd still be there, I reckon. 7:40 in Frankston. He's at my place in Frankston with Darren Bergwerf tonight. And of course, he's in town supporting the A1 supported candidates, independent candidates for tomorrow's Victorian election, which, seems to be holding all sorts of interesting realities for us left and right. Was that an oh yeah, Glenn, because you're excited?
Yeah, that's an oh yeah. That's oh yeah, and the crowd goes wild.
Now, is that because you're actually connecting, or because you think the Victorian election's a big hit here?
think you know the answer to that one, Carl.
Yes, it's going
Oh,
to
here we go. Look.
it's going to be a very interesting few days, I think, after and around the Victorian election. Oh, listen, I'm liking the sound of this. I'm hitting the button.
Oh, there we go. Hey,
Ladies and gentlemen, put the boys together and look what happens.
Sound though. 1 second. Have we got sound?
we do.
Oh, well,
No.
we're hearing you
Sound. We'll
beautifully.
have sound in 1 second.
Can you hear us? That's the question.
Yeah.
And
Hello. We can
Hello.
We can wave.
Can you hear us?
Yes,
Good
we think
evening.
you're stunning. You sound magnificent. I
Look at you.
particularly like the coloured background. I mean, you've
Yeah.
really lifted your game, mate. You're getting very professional. You're changing the
I am
guitars in and
actually.
out every week. Or...
He's going for a rainbow theme with the guitars. Oh,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I
That's
like
what
it.
I thought.
That one,
So
that's my
Sean
new
Ambrose
guitar.
and Patriot 101, welcome to the show. Lovely to have you. Sorry that Facebook are making your life hard, but hey, shit happens.
Oh, look,
Congratulations
look,
to Sean. Sean's got himself a new gig. So congratulations, mate. It's a good gig too. You're on the harbour. You get to see a lot of the boats that come in and out. I got to think.
Prime location. It's a prime
Prime
location. It's you couldn't ask for a better location. What I see each day, it's just absolutely spectacular. And I've got to be careful, Carl. I've got to be careful with what I say. I can't
Sure.
I can't go giving it away, but it's absolutely spectacular where I am, and I've only been there 2 weeks, and I'm having a fantastic time.
Well, it's just
I've
as
got
well.
piped aboard.
It's just as well you've developed a liking for looking at beautiful views and ocean views at that, mate. Because this is how a naval guy was trying to convince you to join the Navy many moons ago. The look on your face there. I mean, there's no bloody wonder you wound up in the army, is there? You had no interest in the Navy at all.
On reflection, Carl, on reflection, I should have joined the Navy. But, did I tell you I was piped aboard yesterday?
Oh,
So
that sounds great.
I'm walking up the gangway, and next minute the bosun's blowing the whistle. I'm thinking, what's going on here? I get to the top of the gangway, and they're all saluting. I thought, geez, this is good. I've never got this treatment in the army. And I looked behind me, and there was an admiral walking up the gangway. So they weren't blowing the whistle for me.
So
He
what
was
was,
about to say, "Hey, boys."
what was the protocol when you got there and everybody was saluting? Did you give them the Sergeant Schiltz, or did you?
No, we all just stood. I had my offsider with me, and so we stood to attention and greeted the officer when he come aboard.
Yeah,
So,
very good.
But no, it's great to be back. It's great to be back within the defence community and working with vessels again. Working in the maritime industry.
Yeah, that's great, mate. And a very interesting time. Now, we've had stories all week about Navy vessels turning up in every major port in the city, in the country rather. Vessels coming in and out under cover of darkness, only tying up for 4-6 hours at the most and then back out again, trying to do all this under cover of darkness in the middle of the night. What are you hearing, Glenn? Same kind of thing?
I heard from a good source in Victoria that in Bendigo, there's a very, very large sort of property, and it's covered in military vehicles under nets, like under the military vehicle net, or those nets they cover them with. It's massive. It's about 5 or 6 acres, just covered in military vehicles.
So the military vehicles that we've been sending off to the Ukraine are actually made in Bendigo. So could that be a facility associated with them?
I wouldn't know. I couldn't say, to be honest. But it was just interesting to hear that they're all covered over down there and in a big complex, So not too sure. But there's been a lot of ships off the coast down here too. The ships have not been allowed to dock at port, and there's been a few very different sort of ships out there also, like like they're vehicle carrying ships, but they've got no markings. Like they're just all grey. So that's something also I've noticed. There's something out of the ordinary. And I did have a couple of the new choppers, the new camouflage choppers fly over here a few times. And one of them actually come over to over my car when I had my client with me, and he sort of he was leading to, like, pointing down towards us, and we got the thumbs up from him. So that was pretty cool.
Really?
Also. Yeah, that was also pretty cool. We flashed our lights at him as we're coming up the hill, and then as we're going down the straight, he come across and come back around and was like pointing down towards us. They had their thumbs up at us. So my client was like, "Oh wow, he's come to see us." I was like, "Yeah, that's cool, Craig."
Because your vehicle is somewhat sign written, isn't it? So
it's got a lot of sign writing on there. Yep, they definitely know my car. Yeah,
yeah, you do stand out in the crowd.
Yes.
Speaking about camo, I've got some reports this week out of a New South Wales city, that coastal city, that there is a group of apartments in the city. Quite a large number of apartments have been taken over by military. The Australian government is paying the bills, and they are Australian accented people who are coming in, all wearing a blue camo uniform. The people come in, might stay anywhere between 2 to 5 days at a time, and then leave. And as soon as they leave, the next lot come into the, basically hotspot in the beds. So there are a lot of people in that city, and a lot of blue camo. Now, we normally associate blue camo with Air Force, but there is a very subtle difference in the blues, because the blues that these guys are wearing is US Navy blue camos. So I think that's an interesting little turn up too. I have seen photos. I don't have them, but I have seen them. And those, well, heard a lot of different things today about military staging areas. Seems that city might just about be one of them. So trying to keep it all under wraps. Also interesting that when I was down in Tasmania recently, there was a New Zealand ship in, but did not see any sailors doing touristy things, and spoke to people living down there. When these Navy ships from other city or other countries come into town, they always, especially Americans, but generally all of them, come in and they do something nice for the city. They'll go in and they'll build something the city needs, or they'll fix something the city had broken, or if there's an orphanage that needs help, or if there's something else worthy, then they'll come in and fix it all up. And it's part of what the crews do on their time off while they're ashore. None of that happened with the most recent US vessel, the USS Tripoli, that was in, amphibious assault ship. And nor did it happen with the Timana, which was a New Zealand frigate that was in there when I was there. So they were taking on a lot of fuel, and all I saw was people walking on board in civilian clothes. I didn't see anybody outside of those around the fuel trucks working in any kind of Navy issued gear. I wasn't there, unfortunately, when the Tripoli came in. Otherwise, I would have been hanging off the dock every minute it was there. But it's gone again now. I think it was only in a couple of days. So we're getting reports, like I say, these ships coming in in the middle of the night, dropping people off.
There's a reason why they're not coming ashore. There's a reason why they're not coming ashore, and that's to maintain operational security. So just to reflect, we're actually living through the greatest psychological operation that's ever been waged. So generally these operations are waged against, you'd say like a township, such as Islamabad or Baghdad, or, some province somewhere.
Mm.
This psychological operation is being waged against all of humanity. And there are many fronts. There are quite a number of fronts that this war is being waged. And one of them is, of course, surveillance. So
Yeah.
there's a number of so just for instance, the other week I was on the platform of a train station, and we're not allowed to wear any identifying and anything that could identify us.
Yeah.
So I was on the platform the other day, and you know I'm generally quite well aware of my surroundings, and so I'm on the platform of the train station. I'm sitting on the seat. I've had a big day. I'm a bit tired. I'm kind of leaning forward, but I had the distinct feeling that I was being watched. I turned my head just a little bit, and there was a particular person who was filming me with his mobile phone. I took my hat off and then looked over, and then I caught him fully. He was filming me, and then he was filming other people on the platform. This particular person, I guess we'd call him a Missourian. He belonged to the nation of Missouri. And if you know the nation of Missouri in military parlance, they are the enemy that our nation, our military had given to a particular I guess, ethnicity within our region. So this is all very real. So there are so many fronts to this war, and there are intelligence operatives out there from the opposing, our opposing, our enemies, that are gathering information. So this is why our military, they've been told, and this has been happening for probably the last 2 decades now, about maintaining operational security. So this is why they're not leaving the ship. This is why our military, our army, they're not wearing their uniforms when they leave the base.
Yep. They
dress in plain clothes. They dress as civilians. It's because they're being followed. They're being followed. So we've got, foreign intelligence services operating within our nation, following people home from army bases, following people home from naval bases. You could get into an Uber. You could call an Uber from a base, unbeknown to you. The person you've flown into the Uber with is a foreign agent, is a spy. It's the age we're living in is a lot different to what we were living in 20 years ago or 30 years ago, and previous conflicts that we've been engaged.
Yeah. This has never happened before in the history of the earth. What's happening now? This is a war that no one's ever gone through. So we've gone through it, but not condensed like it is now. It's just been controlling us for a long time, but no one's really fought against it like they have now. Like the awakening of people's realizing what's been done to them, the fraud that's been carried out on us for a long time, what's been robbed from us, like all the deception, the lies, like
are you having any luck with Chile? Bloody dog. Are you having any luck with people maybe in your past who laughed you off or sent you nasty text messages because they didn't believe what you were saying or what you were telling them? Have you got any having second thoughts type messages?
Yeah, the ones I like, these are the ones I really like. They're really funny. There'll be a bunch of your mates there, and most of them aren't awake. And then there'll be that one comes over and you look around, see if his mates are watching, he'll go, "I'm with you." And I'm like, 3 or 4 boosters. He's saying with me, you're right. I'll see you down with it.
3 or 4 jabs down the road, but I'm with you.
Hey, while I'm thinking of it, on the way home from the airport today, I happened to drive past Parliament House. I looked up at the flag and I noticed that the flag didn't have any stars on it. I'll show you a photo.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
What does that mean?
They call that flag England by night.
England by night.
England
That's
by night.
yeah. Oh, yeah, but see, that's Parliament House. Yeah.
Well, there's all UN flags down there for a long time flying. Did you see that?
On the
UN flags, they were. Oh, yeah.
Oh, they do that. They do that on the flags across the bridge. You mean?
Yeah. Well, Phil Jones sent me a picture of them all. Yeah.
Yeah, it probably
UN
was like
flags.
it was probably some special UN day or something like They do that. They put
Yeah,
up-
there was like UN week or something this week.
We're gonna fly in for UN hanging week. That's what we're gonna fly.
Absolutely.
well, have more
Maybe
that
we
fun.
can maybe we can knot a few together and use them to hang them with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Just a
flag,
thought.
I
Save the
also
road
noticed-
for better people.
I was going to say, I noticed a couple of months ago that flag, when it was the actual proper Australian flag with the stars on it, the end was very tattered, which you'd never see normally. So
Yeah.
I'm really curious, like, what does this all mean? We've got first a tattered flag, and now the one they've replaced it with doesn't have any stars on it. Is it?
Yeah. Well,
Any
we are
ideas?
said to be under military control right now, even though it doesn't seem like that. But we are said to be under military control. So
Well, that leads
as they
me
were
to
doing,
something I wanted to talk about, and I suppose with Sean, you're the only one with actual military experience here amongst us, I suppose. Martial law. There's been a lot of talk about martial law. You know, we refer to it as the 10-day lockdown, but last night I spoke with John Wilson the night before, or the Tuesday night, started speaking about military occupancy and how that is a real thing. Martial law in Australia, or that 10-day lockdown, the emergency EBS message that we're all going to get, that gives you 3 hours to get home, and then we're going to, watch an 8-hour movie 3 times a day for the next 10 days. Martial law, martial law is not ideal. I've got to be honest, but I think it's the only way forward here. We have such deeply ingrained corruption at every level of our society, from the politicians to the police, and school teachers, school principals, swimming coaches, you name them. We've had them locked up for pedophilia and God knows whatever else over the years. Well, we're coming for them all. But that requires military intervention, Sean, because we can't trust our actual law enforcement to do anything about it, because they're all part of it. So, Sean, should people be worried about, and if we get the message that says, right, martial law is enacted, do not go on the streets. Now, Aussies are a pretty brazen bunch. They'll grab a few stubbies and walk out to the front fence and lean over to see what's going on. What's your advice when martial law, if it is declared, happens?
Yeah, look, I'm still in two minds about this. One, we know there is an operation underway, but we still have to retain an understanding that there are two forces. There are the scumbags in the government, there are scumbags in the military, there are scumbags throughout the bureaucracy, the policing authorities, everywhere. And then we've got the good guys. The good guys are doing the cleanup. Now, this could swing either way. This is what I'm concerned about. I don't want anyone out there taking or establishing a false sense of security. Because if the moment you accept or you believe that the military are there, hey, they're doing the right thing, you could walk out your front door, or they knock on your door and they say, "How you going, Glenn? You're coming with us." And it's actually the bad guys that are in control. So everyone needs to maintain vigilance.
Yeah.
Don't trust anyone.
Yeah.
Don't trust anyone until it's all done, because this could go either way. This could still go either way. I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful. I believe that everyone should also put their faith in Jesus and their trust in God, because I believe the hand of God is at work. But I still want people to remain vigilant.
Yeah.
I still want people to remain vigilant. Just don't go establishing a false sense of security, because this could turn either way.
Can I add to that too?
Sure.
I had someone say to me, "Oh, it's all right because the white hats have got this." Guys, what you got to realize, what's a white hat? A white hat, somebody who's fighting on the right side. A white hat is somebody who's out there exposing the truth, who's active in it, boots on the ground, whether they're running a broadcasting network or whatever about the truth, whether they're out there protesting down there in Canberra, standing out against this rubbish. A white hat is anyone who's involved in turning this around 180 degrees. All right. So that means anyone at home. So we need everybody to be there. You know, like everyone's talking about returning to Canberra now. I don't know if you've heard the rumors about that, but they say it's time now because they think that the boot's off them down there now. No, the boot's not off. There's no way. We just had to regroup. We had to gather more evidence, which we've got loads of.
Tons.
A lot of people have got the evidence now. Loads, tons. Let's start with CIK numbers, which means foreign invested corporations. That's treason. Okay, so that's the highest thing, high treason. That's it. You know, end of story for them. So now it's time to put the boots back on, get down there. Because I want to get down there as soon as I can also. And let them know we're still here. As you know, we're still ready to go. You know, we're not going to take our boots up here. We don't want that fixed, what you got. We want it all new. And we want to be able to run it. The people.
Yep.
You know, we want it all new.
Yep.
Everything needs to be referendum in. We need to have the say. It's not you just go and delegate your own rubbish under your corporations that are all foreign invested. All it is a corporate orgy at the moment.
Yep.
You know, even these courts, all these courts are operating under different seals. They're all corporate seals, private corporate seals. There's more seals than the coastline of Antarctica going on in this country. And we've even got minted proof of that. You know, if you go to the 50-cent pieces, we've got a load of 50-cent pieces with all the different seals on them.
Yeah.
So you put that on the magistrate's desk and say, okay, so which seal is it?
Yep.
Tell me, which seal are we under today?
Look, whilst there's, you know, there's people in the military, there's even good people in the police force and the bureaucracy that are fighting back.
Of course there is.
That are fighting back.
Yeah.
But our people in the freedom movement, they should not be completely reliant on the military or, you know, the white hats fighting back. It's going to take a lot more than just the military to fight back. We are all part of this, and we have to keep pushing. We're actually the driving force. The people are the driving force in all of this.
Yes.
But the people are hamstrung at the moment getting anything through. Like, we've got plenty of evidence. We know what they're doing to us from aircraft. We know they're spraying us. We know what they're spraying us with. We know the detrimental effects it's having. We know how long they've been doing it for. Well, quite a lot of other interesting things, particularly about the, you know, spicy dart and a few other bits and pieces. So, you know, we know all this. The people know all this, but the people can't do anything about it because we have no enforcement arm. The enforcement arm that we usually rely on in these sorts of situations is the police. And, of course, they've proven to be as treasonous and as seditious and just as bigger bastards as those running them. They are not working in service of the people. They are working in service of an international corporation. And the sooner people wake up to that and understand what that really means, the better. But you and I, all of us, have been pushing now for a few years in various different ways and means to try and wake people up. Force of numbers is the only way that this happens. If you don't want to pay your rates, folks, then all you've got to do is convince everybody else in your town not to pay rates. And you won't have to pay rates anymore. It's that simple.
Yep. All get together. All get together and you design a template letter, you know, like that. That covers everything, the fraud, the whole lot in it. Yeah, and you get a group of people and you walk into your council chamber together and you say, we are all submitting these statements, these rebuttals, all right, together. And you say, we command that you sign these and stamp these right now because everything in here cannot be rebutted. That's all what you got to do, groups of people. Okay.
Do you want to explain recently? Sorry, Sean, you go on.
Because we've had people go in, a dozen or so people, and it doesn't appears to have changed very much. Have we got to get 1,000 people in to deliver these letters, or what scale do you see with that?
I think ideally, what we need to do, we need to identify the targets a little better. So if we were going to hit a target, the target would be the UN. The UN building. They're the snake. That's the head of the snake. The UN. They're the ones driving all this stuff.
Yeah.
You have a mass rally and protest out the front of the UN, and you watch how fast things happen. We are making traction. We are making ground.
Yeah.
People get everyone gets disheartened with what's happening, but we are making ground. And wars are won by those who can endure. Yeah. One day longer, one day stronger. Those who can endure, it only has to be one day. One day. Those who endure, those who can endure the fight, they're the ones who win. And this is a battle. This is a battle of attrition, and they are hitting us with everything they can. And of course, we're fighting back. And people do get disheartened, and people do get depressed. That's understandable. But the thing is, you've got to pick yourself up, and you got to keep moving forward. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, have a drink of water, keep moving forward. But we have to identify, we have to identify our targets a little better. The UN are driving this. The UN is who we hit.
Yep.
We are making progress. You only have to look what's happened with the project. We had Lisa Wilkinson. I don't watch the rubbish. Yeah. I don't watch commercial TV. It's garbage, propaganda. Yeah. And you only have to look at the media licensing. Now, Glenn's mother was asking me just before. Actually, she said, "How do they get away with this stuff?" And I said, "It's the licensing." I said, "It's the media licensing." She says, "No, they're journalists." I said, "They're not journalists." I said, "They're entertainers." That's how they get away with it, through the media licensing. Right. Yep. So we are making progress. Like Lisa Wilkinson, she's resigned. I mean,
as with immediate effect.
Peter Hellier has also resigned the other night.
These people are being these people. They're obviously at their wits' end. They're consumed by guilt. They are consumed by guilt. They can't live with what they've done. The lies that they've peddled. These people are murderers.
They're complicit. They're complicit in murder.
Exactly.
Complicit because they had every opportunity. They had the voice up there. They didn't have to follow orders. And even if they just said it and got the sack, it wouldn't have mattered. They would have shown they had a right standing for the people over their career and over the money and over what they were being told. You know,
these people have been compromised. You know, they're probably blackmailed or they've had their families threatened. You know, as well. So
that's right. Yeah, true too. That could be also true. And if that's the case, you know, like that'll come out in the wash, I suppose, at the end of it all. You know, like but there's some that have just chosen it.
Yeah, of
also,
course.
Yeah, not all blackmail. There's not willfully done so. I'd say Koshy would be one.
He's a stooge.
He'd be one who you could say, but just took the money and ran.
One of the money wings.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, has he announced yet? I've been hearing talk now that he's going to retire as well, but I don't know. I don't really follow it.
Is it still him
anymore? That would be the other $64,000 question. And would Natalie Barr be staying on as well?
Koshy's got a head like a Halloween mask. I mean,
I'm not going to cast aspersions about that because my head certainly knows better.
Koshy should be in a haunted house.
Oh dear.
I'm just having a bit of a scan through.
Freak show, you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it's like. Just want to go back to martial law, folks. If that sort of thing happens, if there is that lockdown, or if you do get a message that says martial law is in effect, go home, stay at home, then go home and stay inside. If the message says go home, stay inside, go home, stay inside. Don't go outside for any reason. It will be because they're conducting operations of some kind or other. I'm not like Sean. I tend to believe that if we're at that stage, if that EBS has gone out, then I tend to think that it will be a white hat operation that's underway. But there's no reason the black hats couldn't trigger that EBS and, you know, go out and create all sorts of mayhem beforehand. So, you know, yes, stay aware, stay very, very aware. But I think that if we do get the call for martial law, don't be a thong slapper magnet wants to go out and just on the authorities. It's not going to work. You'll get a bullet in the head.
Remember the ASIO fridge magnets, Carl? Remember
No.
them? Oh,
Oh,
20 years.
yes.
20
Yes.
years ago. I think it was.
God, yes.
I never got one. I actually never got one. Everyone else got one, but me. Be alert. What was it? Be aware.
Be aware. Yeah. It was,
Be aware.
Be alert. Like that. Yeah. ASIO. Yeah.
And here's the phone number. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Please,
Yeah.
please accept our spying capabilities.
Yeah. 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 Be a
This is what I do.
spy.
This is what I do. This is what I encourage everyone at home to do with these cameras. Everywhere you go, Bunnings, shopping centres, every time you see a camera, give them no contract, no consent. I'll give it to every single camera in Australia. So you got to try and beat my record. Just go for all the cameras. That's what you tell them. No, we didn't
Very
consent
good
to
way
it.
of putting it.
Well, exactly right. Like there's never been a referendum in this country in regard to a digital, a digital central banking currency. There's never been a referendum in regard to a social credit system. There's never been a referendum into vaccine passports. We've all got family members who are Anzacs.
Yeah.
They didn't go off to Gallipoli or the fields of France to fight so that Australians would have to show passports to work and buy food.
No. The Aboriginal people didn't have to do all this rubbish either. Like what they have to do, like go hunt, come home, fish, that's it. Come back, build your hut, live out your life,
Absolutely
Sounds
disgraceful.
brilliant.
Carl, do you know now there is an agenda that's being peddled within defence for the wearing of rainbow coloured tees? This is how sick it's all gone. So rather than you turn out at Anzac Day or Remembrance Day and pay homage and respect to those who paid the ultimate sacrifice, you wear the red poppy. Now the alphabet soup movement are saying, well, how about you wear a rainbow poppy? So they want to make it all about them.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is how sick and twisted it's all going. It's
Satanic.
out of control.
Yeah.
What's the old ostentatious joke? There was no homosexuality in the trenches. If there was, the men would have been right onto it.
Yeah, I remember that now.
I mean, it's utterly. It is. These people are going hell for leather. The likes of Dan Andrews, and you think back about what's happened over the last.
It's not the real Dan either, is it? You work with him, it's not him.
No, it's not Dan Andrews.
He used to work with him.
What a disgusting human being he is. Mm-hmm. He's got a lot more to worry about than falling downstairs.
Well, do we even think it's really Dan Andrews? Right now.
No, he knows it's not.
It's masked.
No.
Yeah.
It's one of the. It's a latex. It's one of those latex FX masks.
Yeah.
That's what it is. As is a lot of them. As many of them. There's many of them just going disappear, and in comes the mask one.
Yeah.
Like Joe Biden. Joe Biden's a classic example.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a body double, and then they're saying that. I think it was actually his.
Brother?
Was it his?
He had a brother.
Brent? No, he's got a brother who's a double. His brother's a double. They're saying that the real Joe Biden died a few years back. I think.
Yeah. 2 years ago. Yeah.
Didn't die. He was executed.
Yeah, he probably.
Yeah, he didn't just die. He was executed.
He died when he was executed.
Yeah.
So he's got a brother. So the brother's filled in, and then of course there's a body double as well. Hillary Clinton's another one that's got a body double.
Yeah.
It's
Zuckerberg.
Hillary Clinton.
Another one.
Hillary Clinton's double is 8 inches shorter than Hillary Clinton.
I saw that photo.
That's quite funny. Yeah. It's like 24 centimeters to people who might be watching. Hillary shrunk. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I'm still convinced that the day they swapped them out was the day that she fainted getting into the van. And they took her back to Chelsea's place in New York, and they, settled her down after an hour and a half. She's come wandering out, and we haven't heard much of Chelsea ever again. I think that's the day they actually took her into custody.
Yeah. They're doing the White House trials. We've seen the buses turning up to the White House, prison buses, and we've seen the undertakers going in there in their cars. So it's the trials and the executions are happening at the White House.
Yep.
That's why they had the fencing around there for a long time. See?
Yeah.
That's what they wanted to do. And what a fitting place, I believe.
Absolutely.
And the funny thing that's going to happen in Australia is they all thought they were smart by registering their corporations in the US, didn't they? Thought they were clever by doing that so they could launder money. They could go through the Ukraine. They could play games with the CCP. But the funny thing is by registering in Washington, now they're going to get trialed under US law. All these criminals.
Yep.
Under US law. They'll be passed over to them, trialed by them. So that's what's going to happen. And that'll be military law too. So there's Derek Johnson. If anyone heard of Derek Johnson, watch his videos. He's a very clever man. He'll tell you all about military law. He's very,
how does that relate to the fact that Washington is not actually part of the US? It's a separate state like the Vatican.
Right. That's right. Yes. Well, that's their fraud too. That's also fraud as well. So technically, no. Technically, that's something they've done without the people's consent. So anything that's been done without the people's consent, it's going to be considered fraud. So it's null and void. Like Ukraine didn't sign their border treaty, so they're technically part of the USSR still. So you know what I mean? So technically, if it's done in fraud, it wasn't our decision.
Yeah, look, anything based on fraud and deception has no basis in law.
No basis in law.
Right.
That's right.
Okay.
So, So no matter what they claim it as, it doesn't matter.
So saying it's
something else that really needs to be. There's something else that really needs to be prosecuted is sections 52 and 53 of the Trade Practices Act. That's the Australian Trade Practices Act. So sections 52 and sections 53 are quite explicit in regard to misleading and deceptive conduct. So a corporation cannot engage in deceptive or misleading conduct.
Right.
And I just forget which one is the deceptive and misleading conduct. It might be 52, and then 53 goes on again. So anyone out there, they should just Google this and give it a bit of thought, because what we have here, we have governments acting as corporations. Now, we're not supposed to know that they're acting as corporations. This is so that governments can prosecute everyone else, such as pharmaceutical companies who say safe and effective, and then we find out that their vaccines are actually a kill shot. So it deals with deceptive and misleading conduct, and basically like false advertising. But people should give that a look. And I think we should do a little bit more with that in developing perhaps a case to prosecute.
Yeah.
And of course, I think we also need to play them at their own game. So there's corporations law, there's the Trade Practices Act, and we should be prosecuting them with their own laws. It's like guerrilla warfare. If you want to wage a guerrilla campaign, you use the enemy's weapons against them.
Yeah. Well, they're using contract and commercial law. That's what they're operating under, contract and commercial law. So you really got to look into the contract and commercial law side of things to wrap them up in their own spider's web, because they're breaking all their own laws.
Yep.
The things they're writing, they're breaking them. So what they're doing, they're putting Band-Aids over it to try and hide it, constantly putting these Band-Aid delegated laws over the top, putting a Band-Aid over that, Band-Aid over that. That way we can't get in trouble. Well,
that's right.
To tell you the truth, you're still going to get in trouble. You're all corporations. You have no right standing in this country to be in any governing sort of situation. So there's the fraud right there, ladies and gentlemen.
So John has put up a very good question. Never get an answer to this question. What type of regime takes prominent people, secretly tries them, and then executes them? And we're saying this is good, like Stalin, Mao, and Pol Pot, etc.
The US do that too.
That is a view that is going to be held by many people. What right military have to step up and do anything here? Forget the fact that your bank account's going to be overflowing and a lot of stress in your life is going to disappear because of what they've done. You want to argue about what gives them the right to do it. Well, maybe just natural.
I think some of these people, some of these individuals, I will call them, or persons, we will call them persons,
reptiles,
right? Whatever they are. Yep. Some of these things, I'll call them things, right, do not deserve life because what they have done to other people or children or whatever they've done, if people knew the extent of the evil that they've been involved in, that they can't be reformed.
No, yeah, totally. Why can't we see the trial and why can't we see the execution? I think that's the point.
Yeah, well, I'm actually all for that.
Yeah.
I'm actually all for seeing these people trialed on the deck of an aircraft carrier, and under maritime law, you trial them under their own laws. Maritime law, no, not walk the plank.
Yeah.
The yard hung. They get yard hung, and it's not. They're not going to drop. They're not going to drop a couple of meters and have the luxury and privilege of having their neck broken. They're going to be strangled to death. That's what yard hanging is. And I'd be quite happy to see the deck of an aircraft carrier fitted out with the stanchions, and we just have 100 strangled at a time.
Just because you can't reform these things. You cannot reform it. And look, guys, and everyone, I know it sounds bad, but if anyone's awake to this completely, we're not just people we're dealing with here. There's other things as well.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm
doing. And a lot of people have seen the shape shifting. They've seen it happen. This is not even a conspiracy anymore. We have friends that have seen it in coppers, seen them shape shift, seen their eyes change. They hide their face when it happens. This stuff, these things are there. I mean, it's there, guys. There's that much information on it. There's that many people awake to it now. We've got to realize we haven't been alone for a long time. We've just been fooled. All right, we've been fooled, and so some of these things need to go, and some of these people that represent them need to go. It's just how it goes, Otherwise, we'll never fix this world. Never. They'll just keep on breeding. It's like a disease. It's like a weed.
Yeah,
and the evil in this world. We never purge the world of this evil.
Yeah, and it is so deep. It is so deeply ingrained, and I know people aren't going to believe it, but there'll be people who will disappear in the night, and nobody will know where they went. And one day you'll get a message that they were tried, convicted, and sentenced. Sentence was carried out at such and such a time and date and place. You'll be able to find the body here.
That's you won't find the body. No, we're not going to give them the privilege of being remembered. We're going to ensure that the old Roman law of memoriae damnatio is enacted, and for anyone who's a bit of a buff on Roman history or has an interest in Roman history, you'd know that memoriae damnatio was one of the most extreme acts that the empire would do on a person. You would never be remembered. There was no resting place. You just put in a Hessian bag and dumped in the Tiber.
Yeah,
with some vipers, of course. But no, these people will not be remembered. They'll be scrubbed from history.
No.
Yeah. I get what people say. The thou shalt not kill in the Bible, right? Yeah, I get that's what they're trying to say sometimes. Thou shalt not kill. But here's the thing. Even in our research, we've also found, and it'd be silly to not think so, but the Bible has also been corrupted also. Like there's 66 books. 66 books. There's a secret numbers right there. Like 66 books in the Bible, gone through 82 generations since Christ, been translated into every single language and every single denomination, right? The denomination. And it's gone through the Vatican, most of it, and the curriculum that the ministers, pastors, priests are all learning comes from the Vatican.
There's a really interesting point. There's a really interesting point that someone just made about climate change, and you just touched on with the Bible. So climate change is a monumental fraud. We all know that.
Yep.
Climate change is being used as the means to introduce the New World Order.
Yep.
And we're beyond coincidences now. Everything is planned. This is all being planned a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
Now, it is beyond coincidence that carbon is being blamed for climate change. Now, when you look up the atomic number of carbon, it has the number 6. Now, carbon has 6 electrons, 6 protons, and 6 neutrons.
Yep.
How does that work out?
Interesting.
Triple six.
Interesting.
And of course, we know this. Now, I've always believed in Jesus, in God, but I've never gone out and preached it. If I can see what is happening, how is it that these religious leaders can't? This is mark of the beast stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't teach that. They don't teach how to identify the enemy. You can't just teach people to be soldiers of God and to stay close to God and to learn how to stay close to Jesus and be godly and try and not sin, but not tell them who the enemy is. How, if they can't identify the enemy, how do they know who they're fighting against? And this is what's happened in society, right? People are looking around, they're going, who's the enemy? Well, the enemy's right in amongst them all. That's what's crept in. That's the weed. It's the vines. It's in your leadership. It's in, like we said, cops, military, hospitals, and pharmaceutical.
And this all comes back to the United Nations. This all stems back to the United Nations, Klaus Schwab, and the World Economic Forum. These reptiles have been at it since about 1972. I think Klaus Schwab first come on the scene in 1972. Then we had the Lima Agreement, which was about 1974, and that was basically where they set up that, first world nations, Western nations would have to offshore their manufacturing industries to allow third world countries the opportunity and the ability to develop. It was just all bullshit. It was a massive swindle, so the globalists could fill their pockets. Then, of course, from that, Unidroit, we had Unidroit, which was under the Whitlam government. Then, following on from that, there was and Sunray Bosey touched on this. It was the Senate Standing Committee report on Foreign Affairs Defence, entitled "The New International Economic Order Implications for Australia." I mean, these creatures have been conspiring against the Australian people for decades. For absolute decades, and we've been none the wiser for it, and until where we find ourselves now, where a great number of us are awake and we know what's been happening. More people are waking up, of course, but these people, these politicians, and it's all rubbish. We don't live in a democracy. We live in a plutocracy. We live in an authoritarian, plutocratic dictatorship.
Yep.
And it's going to end. It's going to end. It's all going to come crashing down. And all these people, the Albo Sleazy, Sco Mao, and all these other reptiles in the parliament, all these other Masonic bureaucrats, these filth that are lurking in the military that are, pretending to be, the grace of God soldiers and, defending the nation.
Yep.
They've been selling us out.
Yep.
Yeah, constantly. Yep. The corruptibles, as we would call them, all the corruptibles. It pays not to be corruptible. It's like nothing. That's how in a war, guys. We've got to be non-corruptible. You want to be a right standing, you've got to be non-corruptible, because they're going to come at you. They may come at you. They may say, "Look, if you go away, we'll give you this much money," or something like that. You know what I'd say with it? Stick that Fiat rubbish straight where the sun don't shine. Sunshine?
Yep.
Is what I would tell them, because I represent this and I do this for free. I don't want money.
A lot of people have been offered big money just like that. And I'm not one of them. But a lot of people have been offered a lot of money to change or tone down their rhetoric. That's others have gone out and decided that they'll change their rhetoric but make more money in other ways, through subscription models and all that sort of thing. So I think that those sorts of folks are going to have a come to Jesus talk as well in the not too distant future.
Yep.
I was speaking to
You're in the
John
freedom.
Wilson, and
Just quickly, Carl. Oh, sorry, when you're ready. Sorry.
Yeah. No, there you go.
I can tell you something about a particular union leader that John's spoken about and I've spoken about. I actually know him through the union that I belong to, and that's Paddy Crumlin. Paddy Crumlin had my understanding is that Paddy Crumlin had an audience with the Pope, and this was a few years ago. Now, who the fuck goes to see the Pope? And why the fuck would Paddy Crumlin get an invite or an audience with the Pope?
Yeah.
35 degrees.
I'm just a simple wharfie. I'm just a simple wharfie and a simple soldier. But I can understand. I can see what's going on here. He's gone there because he's probably been consumed by guilt, and the Pope's gone. Thrown some holy water on him and said, "Don't worry, mate. You'll be right." The level of corruption, the conspiracy, and the evilness of all this. This is off the charts.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yep. And then of course we've got the other one. We've got Comrade Burrows.
Yep.
Who's been conspiring, for the last decade now with Klaus Schwab. So thinking back to, I think it was 2020. If memory serves me correct, it was 2020. She not only attended the forum, the World Economic Forum in Davos. She not only addressed the forum, she co-chaired it. And of course, the unions. Now, I love unions. Unions are an absolute necessity. I was a union delegate. Unions are an absolute necessity. But when they're corrupted,
that's right. Yep.
When they become corrupted and their leadership are taking money. Now, I know that there are union officials out there taking money on the take. These people are not representing their members. They are taking money under false pretenses. Yep. And these people have sold their members out. These filth and swine have sold their members out for 30 silver shekels. And they've basically issued death sentences to their own members.
Yeah.
It is what we are seeing is I never contemplated to ever live through this for starters, but it is just utter evil what is happening.
And it's everywhere. It's the judiciary too. As you know, Carl, I've been attending a lot of court cases. As you know,
arrested,
I had
getting arrested with the odd one. I thought was pretty
impressive. No, that's incorrect. It's called kidnapping by foreign agents.
Oh, okay, that's right. Yes. Yeah, do you want to explain what happened to you?
Yeah, first I was kidnapped by a foreign agent. Then I was unkidnapped by other foreign agents and held against my will. So yeah, that's what's happened to me. But I've been seeing these judges committing treason, high treason, ex parte, as we know, high treason under the UK Commonwealth Constitution, 24AA. Right, that is assuming they still believe we're under the Commonwealth, which they say we are, even though in 1971 73 that was removed unlawfully, but they're still assuming we're under the Commonwealth. We have Commonwealth Games, so they can't rebut that claim. So they're still in treason. 24AA of the UK Commonwealth Constitution, ex parte, which if anyone doesn't know what ex parte is, that is when someone claims that they are sovereign and they are a living, breathing man. A lot of these magistrates will turn around and say, okay, we will be dealing with this matter in the absence of, making out you're not there anymore. Just try and blank you out and then deal with your birth certificate being your chattel document. So that's what they want to do. So they can access and administer your trust, right? They can dip into your money and they can just do what they bloody well want. So this is what they're doing at the moment, and it's out in plain sight. They're not hiding it anymore. They're out of control, all of them. Not all. Most are out of control, but they all represent a fraudulent system, so they're all complicit anyways.
Yep.
So that's how it works.
I agree with you. All right, so what are we predicting for the next week? And I know we all hate predictions, but we've got to say something. So Do you want me to go out first?
Sunny and chemtrails. Sunny and
Chemtrails, yep.
Sunny and chemtrails. That would be consistent. Hey, listen, what happened in Sydney this morning?
Chemtrails and sinus issues.
Sinus issues, yeah.
Oh, is that what it is?
There we go.
I thought
Tim Bailey from Channel 10 couldn't have done a better job than that.
Tim Bailey.
Very true. Hey, what happened in Sydney this morning? There was video coming out this morning around the harbour. A woman was walking through the botanical gardens, and all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, I suppose, but there was a large amount of water coming through the retaining wall, flooding the footpath all through the gardens and leading around towards the Opera House. Now, it was high tide, but that area never floods, apparently. That nobody has ever seen water on there coming from the harbour before, including the gardener who was there, and he'd been working in the gardens for 15 years and had never seen such a large amount of water, reaching into the gardens, so to speak, flooding the gardens. Salt water,
must be climate change, Carl.
Must be climate change.
must be climate change. Yeah, it's got to be climate change.
It'll have something to do with it. I'm absolutely sure. It'd have nothing to do with the earthquakes 10 kilometres down at Solomon Islands.
No,
I'm sure.
No way. No.
Might be some little. No, so we're completely discounting small tidal waves.
Well,
Was it salt water?
Nobody's standing up to admit anything. I just thought it was very strange. A part of Sydney goes underwater that never goes underwater, and it's underwater from the harbour, not from a heap of rain backing up the.
Maybe they're trying to justify their maritime laws on us by putting heaps of water around us and under us.
Mate, anything is possible. Anything is possible. We are in the death throes, so they will try whatever they can, I am sure, to try and get that right. Thank you, Sunflower, for your stick out. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, gentlemen, I think for Friday night we've probably had enough. I know you boys down in Sydney, you're an hour ahead of me, and I don't want you to be late to bed. Although I know, Glenn, you sleep by yourself, and I know, Sean, you wish you did. So, Mrs. Ambrose, that was just a joke. Right? Mrs. Ambrose, that was just a joke.
I'll give you a situational update. Hey, I'll give you a situational update. So, my daughter's a restless sleeper. Very restless sleeper, So I don't know. She hears a noise in the night. She calls out, and it's always for mum. It's always mum. So and there's of course there's times I go in there, I'm just not good enough.
No, you're very disappointed.
You go in there and not good enough. So poor old mum has to go in there. Poor old mum has to go in there usually about 1 o'clock in the morning. So my wife ends up on the lounge in my daughter's room. And so I get the bed. I get the bed to myself.
Mate, you've done all right. I would have thought with sinus trouble like yours and a snozz night like that, you'd be sleeping in your own bedroom for snoring reasons, if nothing else. But look,
as long as yourself every night.
Yeah, it works well, doesn't it? Got to be happy with that. Boys, thanks for coming on. Really enjoyed the chat. I think that we're going to have a very interesting week next week. I think the Victorian election is going to be telling in a lot of ways. It might be a great way to expose the rorting that's going on in Australian politics.
It is bad. And this is a very good point, Carl. This is a very good point. This has been going on for decades. I used to be a political operative. You probably know that. But I never went to this extreme. I never went to this extreme where they register political parties to harvest votes and funnel them back to the Labor Party. I never went to that extreme. I was a bit more honourable.
Have us not catch you.
Stop that. Be careful and protect yourself.
Our political system is fundamentally broken. It is fundamentally broken, and it needs to be cleaned out. And we need the AEC needs to be purged.
Yeah.
The AEC needs to be purged. The state electoral councils that we have throughout the respective Australian states, they need to be purged as well. I mean, it is we are beyond corruption with what is happening.
Yeah, the politicians need to get vaccinated. That's what needs to happen.
Oh,
They need to go and get vaccinated
Yeah.
and boosted. That's what I believe.
I've heard brake fluid, and brake fluid works quite well. Brake fluid or hydraulic fluid.
With chlorine.
Chlorine, yeah. Hey, safe and effective, and
FDA approved.
Safe and effective.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if the PGA would pay $500,000, they'd probably approve it.
Yeah, absolutely. Would it take $500,000? I mean, you'd only have to bribe the top guy, wouldn't you? So, yeah. So, yeah, I don't take that much. The UN is not the head of the snake. Our true enemy is the Vatican. Well, Shane, yes, I agree. The UN isn't the head of the snake, not by a long way. And I actually believe the UN was shut down last December, or cleaned out last December. So
a true enemy is the shadow government, and that's not just the Vatican. That's a lot of them. You know, the trillionaire. Trillionaire.
Some would say that the true head of the snake is actually a snake.
Yes. How weird would that be?
Well, yeah.
Well, the Vatican does have a snake. They actually built a new
the cathedral, their worship hall.
A cathedral. They did. Oh, we know that. Snake worship goes back thousands of years.
Yeah.
Even the Caudaceus, the medical symbol, or the supposed. So there's two medical symbols. There's the Caudaceus, and then there's the rod of Asclepius. So the rod of Asclepius is actually the true medical symbol, and it's a single snake entwined around a staff. The Caudaceus, on the other hand, is representation from Mercury, and who was he? So who was the other god he was associated with? But it's actually the
double snake.
Yeah, the double snake. The rod of the Caudaceus is not truly representative of medicine. It's a symbol of trade, contract, and secrecy. And Mercury and his associated, and the other god that's associated with him. So I think Hermes was also the patron of tricksters and thieves. So this medical symbol that we see, it's not actually a medical symbol at all. It's actually a symbol for trade, commerce, and secrecy and contract.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was misappropriated too, or by some shill, who thought, oh, we'll just apply this to the medical fraternity.
Yeah, no one will know. Just go and get jabbed.
Yeah. And let's just circumvent helping people for hurting them. That's how it works. So look, the depth of the evil is absolutely staggering. I can't wait for it to be brought to an end. I see Marianne in the chat has been quite worried. A lot of people are trying to cheer her up. Marianne, please don't be upset. Your eyes are awake. You know what's coming. You've got nothing to fear. It's the people who are
nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear if you walk with God.
Yeah.
The hand of God. The hand of God.
You're concerned, Marianne, that there are many people out there, godless people, if you will, that might want to fight back. Well, they're not going to come to your doorstep and fight you, Marianne. They're going to go and try and fight those who are doing the right thing by the rest of us. Stay inside. Stay inside. That's what this 10 days is about. And if people do stay inside and they do watch these movies, these 8-hour-long movies, they will learn the reasons why it had to be this way. It won't be up to the likes of us to explain it to you. It will be fully explained. We'll be analysing, how we got it so wrong and what we missed that was so obvious, because there is so much that is so obvious, but we've all been blind to it. So I'm looking forward to that day for full exposure. And if we're talking about Ricardo and his predictions, Ricardo's prediction is for pretty much full exposure before Christmas. I think that's highly likely. We've seen a lot of international movement with Elon Musk. He's been talking about what SpaceX have been up to, and now Starlink. The global financial system, or the QFS, is linked through Starlink, and he's saying, well, that's ready to go from, I think, December the 6th is the date I heard. So you would want to shock the shit out of the world, lock them down for 10 days, make them watch these movies if that's what they're going to do. And then when they're allowed back out on the streets again, you go to your bank and you find all of a sudden you've got a lot more money in there than you did 10 days ago. And you'll understand why you have it and where it's come from. And you'll understand why inflation isn't going to go through the roof and why prices aren't going to go through the roof. If anything, prices are going to go drastically backwards is our belief. So, I guess what are we watching for then, guys? The Victorian election, I kind of predict another Labor win. I don't think that it'll be a legitimate win by any stretch of the imagination, but maybe that's what Melburnians need.
It won't be it's going to be a swindle.
It'll be a show.
It'll be a swindle.
The US elections.
It'll be reminiscent of something from, some third world tin pot dictatorship, Djibouti or, Zimbabwe or somewhere, It's going to be it's going to be a disgrace, and people will have every right to be infuriated about what's going to happen. And look, and the reality of it is, there is no difference between Liberal or Labor.
Same ABN.
They're different factions, different factions of the same government. They all work the same mark.
They're two cheeks of the same ass.
Yes.
We have to get rid of, and it's not going to matter. Even people, of course, go out and vote. Make sure you vote with a pen. Make sure you vote with a pen so we can challenge the outcome when need be.
Yeah.
When they do the count, they say, "Oh no, fucking Dan Andrews won." We say, "No, you didn't."
And a red pen, guys. By the way, red means flesh and blood. When you do things, do them in red. If you want to sign in flesh and blood, all right, it's red pen. Because black means contract and blue means corporate. This is really important, the pens. And purple means royal or sovereign.
Yep.
All right, so these are all it's very hard to get a purple pen these days. You won't find them in newsagents.
It is very hard to get. Yeah, I was looking the other day.
Very hard to get a purple pen. You get them online, you can't get them in newsagents. So red, always, guys, when you want to sign something, your statement, you do it in red. So look,
the one thing we need to do as a collective, as a freedom movement, don't go voting for the Labor Party or the Liberal Party. There's no justice there. Don't go voting for the Greens. Don't go voting for the National Party. These majors, they're not our friends. They are not working for the betterment of the Australian people. We have to elect independence. Australia One. Bosie, that's our best chance. Australia One is our best chance. It's no longer going to be about keeping the bastards honest. We're going to purge the bastards from the system.
Yeah. Tip the bucket upside down, tip all the shit out, and start again.
Yep.
That's what needs to happen.
That's exactly what we're going to do, and we've got to make sure that
when we start throw it out too. Yeah, throw the bucket out as well. We don't need that bucket.
Yeah, we don't go back with the same bucket. It needs to be a whole new system. And I think one day next week we'll have a conversation about that. Very interested for next week's show.
You can't drink water out of it. Sorry, Carl. You can't drink water out of a shit tin, is what they say. You can't drink water out of a shit tin. So
no, that's very true. That's very true. And now with two cheeks in the same ass, I'm starting to think that they have a shared mouth and it only speaks shit. But we can come up with all sorts of analogies that'll keep the weekend interesting. But let's go off and start enjoying the weekend. Folks, go out, enjoy. Thanks, Jay, for your sticker too. Appreciate that. So, guys, thanks very much. Any big plans for the weekend? Start with you, Galactic Larrikin, number one.
Mate, just tidying the place up. As you know, we're going to put this house on the market soon. So I'm pretty busy just getting it all ready and tidy so that, it'll look better when we come to put it on the market.
Yeah, got to get that extra 10,000 if you can.
If we can, that's it.
You're going to paint the house, are you? You're going to spruce it up like that?
Well, I have painted it. I painted it about 12 months ago. So it's
there you go.
Painted the roof and everything. So
oh, well, I didn't notice. I wasn't looking. I was being critical, I promise.
No, it's all right.
All right. Great to talk to you. I'll talk to you during the week, of course, and we look forward to catching up with you. What about you two fellas? Sean, you'll be back doing what you do so well, keeping people alive in very dangerous circumstances, I think is the easiest way to describe what you do.
Yeah, that works.
Makes it sound a lot more dangerous than it is. Well, it's better than saying yeah. I just like to say it in a dramatic fashion.
Yeah,
that's how it is. And Glenn, you're just going to
I'll be just spending on the weekend. I'll just be spending quality time with my daughter and my wife, and just trying to get over the trying to get over the last week. I've been walking like 8 kilometers a day in steel cap boots.
Good effort.
I just got something in my eye. Oh,
yeah.
Did you? Something just flew in my eye.
You know, you're going to have to sue him, mate. Oh, no, don't sue him. He'll take you to court and turn you sideways. No, don't do that, Glenn. Yeah. No, you're on your own with that, mate. Get the bug out of your eye.
You can't take me to court and win. Sorry, not in that court.
No, well, you wouldn't go to court to begin with, would you? No. Sorry, folks. It's all good to be in now.
Frozen.
All right, boys. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. I really look forward to hearing what's going on. I'm sure there'll be a lot to talk about. So thanks for coming on tonight and sharing your views with us. I really appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks, Carl. Thanks.
Having a shock connection here.
We'll talk to you soon. And just in case people have forgotten what a good-looking man Sean Ambrose was at 15, I just want to bring that picture up one last time.
25 years.
That looks about the unhappiest kid ever to have his picture taken, I would have thought.
I was actually told. I was actually deterred. I was actually given a bit of a deterrent about joining the Navy. I was told about the deck boy and the boy in the barrel and what happens to good-looking boys when they're at sea.
Yes.
So you never had your own bed then.
I met the chief medical officer.
They call it a hot rack for a while, for a reason. All right, boys. Have a good one.
We respect you guys in the Navy, don't?
Yes, absolutely. Love the Navy. Love the Navy.
Have a great weekend.
All right, guys. Talk to you soon. Hooroo. Thank you very much, Larry Kin. We'll talk to you next week as well.
See you, buddy.
Have a good one. And you folks, thank you very much. Lovely having your company again tonight. Thank you. We've had a lot of comment about John Wilson's interview last night on the show, and thank you very much to everybody who's sent through comments and questions. And yes, we will have John back on again. I'd love to get him on the road, actually, but he's a bit keen on staying on the boat. Anyway, I'll go and visit him, and we'll see what we can do with that. Speaking of things that we're doing, so on the road tomorrow, heading to Harvey Bay for Sunday. Now, 11 o'clock Sunday morning at the park. I'll be up to have a bit of a chat. It won't be a live show as such, but I'll be there to answer any questions or have a bit of a chat or just, throw a ball with your dog if that's what you're up for. We were going to Rockhampton and then Mackay. Rockhampton has had a bit of a failure today. Unfortunately, venues have been double booked, cross booked, upwards booked. And, of course, they've taken the larger one, which would be the Christmas party. So we won't be going to Rockhampton, unfortunately. And Mackay, for a whole other different set of reasons, we will pick a different date to go back to Mackay and have a bit of fun in Mackay. Unfortunately, I suppose I've mentioned it before, folks, but the message may not have got through completely. So you don't have to organise guests when I come to your town. I'll have somebody to talk to. I will have arranged something and organised something. problem with the folks in Mackay seemed to be that they thought they could organise everybody on my show, and they organised one group in particular that I will never have on this program to come in and have a chat. So I'll save you from that, and I'll save them from that, and we just won't bother going to Mackay until we organise our own venue to do it. Because I'm not into supporting things that I do not believe are correct or right or true or best for the people. And unfortunately, Mackay is very tied up with a group that I'm not too interested in helping at all. So that's the reason behind Mackay. I will obviously make some inquiries myself into Mackay and see whether or not we can't sort something out. But that means that Rocky and Mackay next Tuesday and next Thursday are not going to happen. Townsville, on the other hand, December 3 still will. Not sure whether I'll drive up there yet or whether I'll fly up. It might be cheaper actually to fly up and fly back than it is to drive up and drive back. But we will do the math on that over the weekend and figure out which way it's going to be. Townsville's still on the cards. Rocky, desperate to come to Rocky, and I know Rocky's desperate for a bit of a visit, but we can't do much if there isn't a venue. So we would stop at a bend in the road if that is the case. We're not looking for swish venues. And if you are considering you want the Voice of Freedom to come to your town and put on a show, happy to do that. Next year is going to be pretty exciting. We're going to have your place at my place hitting the road, and hopefully every Saturday night we'll be in a new venue, a your place or a my place that will be your place that we'll turn up to. So looking forward to being involved with that next year too. And the Galactic Larrikins hopefully will play a much greater role in everything that goes on with that. Thank you, Harry, for your super sticker. Really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who is throwing the odd dollar or two either in here into the super chats or donating via vofhq.com. There is a button there that actually reaches us a bit quicker. The super chat stuff can take like 3 months before it gets here, but we appreciate it all the same. It's quite a nice little surprise, actually. It turns up out of the blue unexpectedly. So thank you, folks. If you are helping us continue the mission to be on the road to come to your place, then our website's the place to do it. A donate button is right there. Also, a lot of people have been talking about T-shirts, the Magna Carta 1215 T-shirts, new Voice of Freedom T-shirts in train. And hopefully by the end of this weekend, I will have figured out how to put them all up on the website so that if you want one, all you'll have to do is click on it and tell her what color, what size you want, and hit send. It'll all be ordered. It'll all be sent to you, and you won't have to do anything but put it on. Sounds pretty cool. I have all the details for you once I've managed to make the webpage do what it's got to do over the weekend at some stage. Thanks again, folks, for everything that you've done to support us so far, and any more that you want to do or consider doing. Just make sure that you get out and support those around you. It's all about community, folks. We've got to help each other to get through this, and we are, unfortunately or fortunately, it falls to us to take the greater burden of this once all of the shit goes down. I know many of us are going to embrace that and look forward to the challenge. Some may find that a little daunting. Whatever your mindset is with it, folks, please do not be worried. Please do not be worried. If you've listened to me, if you've listened to anybody else over the last year, 2 years, whatever, you will have stocked up. You will have some food in your cupboards. You will have some cash on hand. You may well have got a whole heap of silver and gold stashed away. If you have done any and all of those preparations, you have nothing to worry about. If you have done any of those, any one of those things, you are okay. You would probably like to make sure that the food was looked after if you've got empty cupboards. I would probably go out tomorrow if you're a bit short on particularly fresh produce. I'd go out and buy a bit of fresh produce for the next week or so, just in case you can't go out Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. I'm not giving you dates, folks. I'm just saying there is some weird shit happening, and they can't keep the weirdness hidden for too long because there is so much of it on a large military scale. It's going to be impossible to keep hiding it. Maybe that is part of the plan. I don't know. Eventually, the media are going to have to start asking questions about all the military, aren't they? Will that mean that the media are then going to start telling the truth? I can't see the media starting to tell the truth until they've cleaned out the major channels. And a bit like what we were saying there earlier with Koshy and Carl and Co. They've all got to try and they've all got to go. Then what are we going to have? Hopefully no breakfast television for a while. Might mean breakfast radio's back in again. All right, have yourself a great weekend, folks. If you are going to be on the roads as I am, please do not be a dickhead. If you are going to be a dickhead, don't be a dickhead between Brisbane and Hervey Bay tomorrow, Sunday or Monday when I'm going to be on the roads up there. That'd be great. Look after yourself. Have a great weekend, folks.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!